Hello there, my name is Aurilen, and today we are going to go through a little guide tutorial-ish on how to ThunderChild rat. So first things first, what you're gonna need is, if you have 3 accounts or less, I would highly suggest you would rat with somebody else or something else. Marauders are very good if you don't have the account to support ThunderChild ratting. Carrier can be an option as well. Super carrier if you have the money for it and the necessary tools, your exit sino and so on. Or even crab beacon ratting, which can be lucrative for some people. I disagree, but it is what it is. Every to each their own opinion, I guess. So assuming that you have the tools, the accounts, and the backup necessary to do ThunderChild ratting with 4 accounts or more, or with more friends to do so, because it is possible to do it with friends. Some people use Stormbringers. It's a good way to farm DED site on Forsaken rally points, Forsaken hubs, rally points in general, hubs in general. But for havens, Stormbringers are a bit less powerful, and they don't do that much damage to battleships. So that's a big downside of the Stormbringers. But in general, Stormbringers can be a stepping stone for you to make that extra money you need. And it's not gonna lie, this type of ratting is very active and it's very fun. So it's not like sitting in Ishtar on a rally point and just put up your Spotify list and do some cleaning in the room while your Ishtar is spinning in a Forsaken rally point, Forsaken hubs or havens or whatever you do with your Ishtars. So first things first, we're gonna go with a lightning rod. Now, a lightning rod is basically what you shoot with your ThunderChilds. Your lightning rod has to be above 10 kilometers from your ThunderChilds, and everything surrounding your lightning rod within that 10 kilometers gets hit. It goes up to 10 targets. So for example, you target your lightning rod with only 1 ThunderChild and you shoot with it, only 10 other targets will get hit, and it functions. The closest targets gets hit first, and the second closest one, the third, all the way up to 10. So that's basically how it works. It does not, you cannot shoot wreckage with ThunderChilds. You cannot shoot gates. You cannot shoot destructible stuff like, for example, on a Sanctum, you have those rings. You cannot shoot those rings with the ThunderChild. So all that on anoms can be destroyed by the bounce of the lightning, but you cannot target it. You cannot destroy wreckage either, but you can destroy MTUs if you drop MTUs that are too close to your rod. So basically the way you do it is you bookmark your site, and then once your site is completed, you warp off. Somebody else or you later on, you warp in, drop an MTU, and then you move on, right? So basically the way I do it is I will rat for 1 hour. After my 1 hour mark, I stop ratting, I go behind, and I start dropping MTUs. Then I go AFK for 10 minutes, give or take, come back, scoop the MTUs, scoop the loot, and then from each side of my bookmark, I'll have 2 of my alts in Noctis salvaging everything all the way to the middle. So, for example, I do about approximately 25 sites an hour. I will bring 1 Noctis at bookmark number 1 and 1 Noctis at bookmark number 25, and I'll work my way all the way to the middle. Now bear in mind that wreckage only lasts in space for 2 hours, but the loot, if it's scooped in the MTU and there's downtime, the loot will remain inside the MTU for, I think it's let me check. I think a mobile depot decay over the span of 36 hours or something like that. Is it in the attribute? 2 days. It stays 2 days in space. So there's that. So 48 hours. Close enough. So once that's done and everything's figured out, I'm gonna share with you some fits for your lightning rods and my fit for the ThunderChild, which I highly recommend for the ThunderChild. So first things first, this is the fit I use as of today, right now. Now this drug in the bottom here reduce your sig modifier, basically makes your ship looks more tiny, so it's harder to hit. So it's very helpful because I'm using 9 characters and my damage output is enough to kill like everything that's landed on grid. It's so powerful that I even can potentially alpha my own self, my own ThunderChild, if I get too close of the lightning rod. So that's something you have to bear in mind, that at a certain point when you're using drugs and abyssal rolling your mods, you can potentially alpha your own self on the grid. I know, I'm sorry, there's a lot of talking, but I just want to like spread out as much as a foundation so you guys know where I'm coming from, and from there you can make your own judgment or criticize if you wish. I'm open to critics. Just bear in mind that if your comments are too salty, I will remove them from YouTube, because it's all about entertainment, and this is not Reddit, it's YouTube, and it's only for funds, guys. So remember, funds first. So we're gonna pursue here. So that's the Jaguar, and then we have the Ishkur, which is also very tiny sig radius. Also, you can use the Synth X drug with every lightning rod you want. And then the third one that I would suggest is the Vengeance from one of my corp mate. He made this fit, and that's the one he's using. Also very good, very OP. We tested out, it works perfectly. I had a Hawk that I was using, but the issue with the Hawk is like it's really weak to EM damage, and your ThunderChild does EM damage, and at a certain point your Hawk has to be so much expensive, it's really ridiculous. Like if I simulate the fit of my Hawk, 1.5 bill for a Hawk to survive the damage output. And if we look at the Jag and we simulate it, 150 mil. It's a joke. It's not even comparable. So totally worth the investment in Minmatar, Amar, and Galente for this type of ratting. So that's with the lightning rod setup, and then we're gonna go with the ThunderChild setup. Now bear in mind, my ThunderChild are cheap decayed abyssal rolled, so the low slot here are actually Vorton tuning projectors, all of them. You can put one inertia stabilizer if you wish. It will still give me a sec. I'm trying to find the module in the low here. There you go. So just like so. Basically the one I was using previous to this fit now was like this. That was the fit I was using. All right, and this is off, and I always put my smart bombs on top, but I always turn it offline for some reason. I don't know. It's just like it's there just in case, but I never use it. Like, so it's just there to fill up an empty slot, because a ship with an empty slot in my eyes is like, nah, but whatever. So I'm derailing here, please forgive me. I'm not used to doing tutorial, guys, so no judgment. So this is basically the fit I'm using. Now the reason why I've put 2 hyperspatial and low nozzle friction is because my choke point, the choke point on these, the bottleneck, the real bottleneck on these ship is it's not the time it takes you to do the sights, it's the time you spend in warp to the next one. That's the real killer of that's the only bottleneck of your limit. It's the time it takes you from one site to the other. That's it. The sights takes less than 30 seconds if done properly, except for the gas havens, which you have to move around, so it takes a little bit more time, but it's still doable. I still do the gas havens, by the way, so because I have this concept of how how I do the thing. So the first wave, I'll shoot it manually with the ThunderChild while locking my rod. Once the first wave is cleared, the second wave will appear. I will place my rod already in position to be in range of the second wave, and then I just start shooting the rod until all the rats die. Then move the rod closer to the third wave, stop shooting it while it's flying downwards, and then so on. You get the principle. So that's that. So that's with the fits and the setup. Now I'm gonna go and start explaining how I do my fleet setup as well, because I again use multiple alts and I have a proper setup to do it. So my rod is always my fleet commander, all right? And this is not supposed to be like this. This is like this. All right. So my rod is always my fleet commander. He's the one warping the fleet around, and basically it's basically easier for me because that's the ship I'm actually controlling. And in case of emergency, since I'm controlling that ship, I don't need to switch up to an alt to warp the fleet away. I just warp the fleet away with my lightning rod and everyone goes to safety. I'd recommend you make bookmarks, like saved somewhere, unless you have a pause in your system where you're ratting, because your ThunderChilds are all egress, so you cannot dock immediately. You have to warp somewhere, get safe, wait a few seconds, warp between your saves. And what's marvelous about hyperspatial ThunderChilds is they're really quick in warp. So if somebody's probing you down, you land on your first save, you warp to a second one, and you make between save until your aggression timer goes off, which is really formidable with the ThunderChild. If you have a pause, you don't even need to panic. You just warp to your pause and you're safe. No matter the aggression, just make sure you have your bookmark properly set up. So that's explained. Now for the squad commander, basically when I land on grid, my rod will move into position, then I switch to my alt, I click the regroup, I activate his afterburner, only his, and then I start moving in line with the other site, the next site on my list, because I place my anoms into the position of the closest to the furthest. So I land on the first site, for example, it's 1 AU, and then the second one's like 1.5 AU. I'll align to that one, and then I'll activate my afterburner. Now bear in mind that sometimes you will align directly in the rats, so you have to manually fly above or below or sideways to avoid getting close to your lightning rod. So you won't be properly aligned for your next site, but you'll be safe and you won't shoot yourself to death. So that's that. Now the reason why I have a wing commander and a squad commander is in case of crucial emergency where both my rod and my wing commander are pointed or they're fucked. I can warp squad with my squad commander. That's why I put myself in a different fleet, because I have all these steps of emergency. It is better to be prepared for something imminent than to be prepared trying to prepare yourself last second, where like there's a dreadnought or a titan or people are trying to scram you, or your rod and your wing commander get spotted, and then you have to like make boss somebody else and put him into fleet position. Or if you're in a standing fleet, you have to scramble and try to reposition yourself into the fleet position to warp your fleet off, because warping each and alt manually can be a struggle if like you're in panic mode. So better be safe than sorry, guys. So I'm gonna go up and undock here with at least 3 ThunderChild just to show you. I'm gonna do just one side, but I'm gonna just show you guys with the 3 of them. I'm gonna keep those guys docked up. All right, so when I undock, I switch between my alts, and I don't know why that's opened. Okay, so I'm gonna switch between my alts, control space to stop them, because I have my little setup again to do with them as well. So I have my overview setup to go through, I have my anom setup to go through, and then I have my cosmic signature setup to go through, and the watch list as well, which I will explain. So first things first, with the lightning rod, I will show my anoms. I will unlock this, and then I will place them by name and remove everything I don't do. So let's move this like so. So obviously the Aurilen, I can ignore this all the way to Havens. I can ignore this. I don't do Forsaken Dance because like it's not even worth it. It's not even funny, and so that's my setup I do. Then I position distance from closest to furthest. So once that's done, reposition it, lock, and then I switch to my travel overview. Basically is my ratting overview, and you can be extra cautious and just remove your combat overview from your tab and have both of them open at the same time. That's an option. So sometimes I will do it, but it's pretty irrelevant for me because I pay attention to local and we have an Intel channel and blah blah blah. So that's done. Next I switch to my, oh yeah, I forgot, very important, I will open my overview settings. Oh nope, not this one. I have to re-put it inside because, well, it's not allowing me to do what I usually do. Okay, so before I remove my combat, I have to do bracket visibility, show all. Very important for your lightning rod to show the wreckage in case you have to orbit a wreckage or whatever. It's easier, plus you're gonna see if there's drones out or whatever. So once done, move this new tab. There you go, that's properly set up. I'm satisfied. All right, I move to my my wing commander. That's the one who's regrouping. Now you have to bind a regroup key to your squad commander. To do so, you go to your shortcut key in the menu, combat, and then you go to filter, and you just write regroup. So for this instance, my regroup key is my mouse button 4. I'm satisfied. Perfect. Return to game. Now I open my Anom window again, and I will remove everything I don't do with this character as well. So all this is crap, not even worth looking at. Forlums are very a pain in the ass to do, not gonna lie, but if you're ADM raising, totally worth doing with the ThunderChilds because it helps raising ADMs. So my squad commander, my wing commander is set up. Now I can move to my SIG setup. So my SIG setup is basically currently in my system there's no cosmic signature. So if I see a cosmic signature spawn and there's a nuke that comes in, I know, okay, that's a wormhole, so I have to roll it or stop any activity until like the neutrals are gone or whatever. So usually I keep an eye on what's the SIGs and so on, and I can even do that with my other tune here. So I'll keep this 2 opens. Now I'm just using 3 ThunderChilds for this example, so usually I use all the 5 others as well, so it's a really big squad that I'm moving around. So now for the warpins, so you want to find which one is your rock havens. So what you do is you look at your first haven here. I'm gonna warp and cancel warp. So click warp to, cancel warp. If there's a message that appears, it means it's a rock haven. If there's no message that appears, it means it's a gas haven. So we're gonna try to find a rock haven just to show you what's the difference. Cancel warp. There you go. That's that one right here, XSJR. That's a rock haven. So those are the most easy one of the havens to do. The other one is, it takes a little longer. And also there is 2 sites that you never warp your ThunderChilds at 0. The rock havens and the Forsaken rally points. Because the rats are near where you land, you don't want to be within the range of where you land with the squad. So basically what I'll do is, for example, I'm going to go ahead and show you what I mean. So I warp my fleet squad to the Forsaken rally point at 30 kilometers. I cancel warp with my lightning rod, and then I hit warp again, so he warps at 0. Now I'm just gonna remove this message. Now I'm just gonna, I forgot to do something very important, add the lightning rod to the watch list. Now it's pretty simple, right click, fleet, add to watch list. Make sure your alts have the same UI. There is a tutorial somewhere on YouTube, I'm sure you'll be able to find it, on how to set up your overview all the same, your UI, sorry. Now once I landed with the rod, I start moving it one cycle of Afterburner towards the rat, turn it off, turn shields off, then I right click, align to the next site, Afterburner on with the wing commander, start locking the rod, press regroup with the wing commander. Now I'm looking back at my rod. Alright, the rats are in position. I can even preheat my weapon if I want to, because you can overheat for a very long time with ThunderChild, which is marvelous again. So now that I'm set up, I'm firing on my main, and I just kill the rats. Just keep the rats in range of the lightning rods. Very important. Now it takes a little bit of time when you're only using 3, but as you can see, it is doable. And I'm not using drugs right now, so I'm tanking properly. Like, I can even probably tank without even the shield booster. Yeah, definitely. So with this setup, you can tank without even having the shield booster on because of your sig. Your sig radius is tiny. Now, if I were to have all my ults together, it's too powerful. I have to keep my shield booster up. So I'm aligned to the next side, making sure. Yeah, alright. So now I can turn off my Afterburner. I'm gonna stop eating here just to reduce the little percentage of heat damage that I'm taking. Alright, so that's pretty much it. That's basically it. So now, once you're killing the rats, you want to wait a few minutes because you don't want to kill your friend or whatever's coming behind to drop MTUs. You bookmark your MTUs into your salvage, L1, that's basically what I do, and then all the way up to L20, 25 or whatever. And that's pretty much it. From there, I hope you enjoyed, and if you have any concerns or comments or what type of ammo, I forgot what type of ammo I'm using is blast shot because it has a 60 kilometer range, but sometimes I'll switch to electro punch or strike snipe if I get a dreadnought. For a dreadnought killing, that's a whole new story. I will explain further if you need to, but most of the people just like they drop carriers on them and the dread is gone. If it's a Titan, they drop supers and big toys or whatever. So again, hope you enjoyed. Have a nice day. Bye bye now.